The Venator Star Destroyer served as the Galactic Republic's workhorse cruiser during the Clone Wars. Somewhat uniquely, it was geared heavily towards starfighter carrying, with weaponry downgraded significantly compared to other ships of its size. The new Imperial Navy largely abandoned the Venator and Republic Navy doctrine as a whole, instead focusing on powerful, capital ship-killing Imperial Star Destroyers. However, the Empire did continue the Venator's legacy through a rare and unique ship class, the Secutor. The Stay on Target expansion for the Age of Rebellion RPG does a great job of breaking down the Secutor. It is, and I quote, perhaps the largest dedicated starfighter carrier in the Imperial arsenal. The massive Secutor battle carrier is an old design from the earliest days of the Imperial Navy, ostensibly one of the many types of Star Destroyers. These multi-kilometer long vessels share more in common with the earlier Venator class carrier of the Galactic Republic Navy than anything designed by Imperial era KDY. Let's talk specifications. The Secutor is 2.2 kilometers long, nearly twice as long as the Venator, and significantly wider. The Secutor, however, lacked the large dorsal hangars of its predecessor, and the command superstructure was midship rather than over the engines. The ventral side of the Secutor has two large hangar bays, each with several sub-hangars. Stay on Target states that the Secutor could carry 144 fighters. Given the size of the battle carrier and its limited weaponry, I don't accept that it carried significantly less fighters than a fully loaded Venator. It's really just some poor lore. Fractal Sponge, designer of the Secutor, stated the following: I have no idea where 144 came from. That's less than half of a Venator's complement. I'm thinking Secutors would have on the order of 8+ wings, so from 500 to 700 fighters. The lack of a dorsal hangar is somewhat of a downfall when it comes to carrying, but most likely helps with the ship's survivability, and given the extensive ventral hangars, I think fighters should be able to launch relatively quickly. Although poorly armed for its size, the battle carrier easily outguns the Venator with 30 heavy and light turbolasers and a matching complement of ion cannons. Notably, we don't see any laser cannons on the Secutor, so it most likely relies on its onboard fighters and its light turbolasers when screening against enemies. Most of the guns are placed on the edge of the Star Destroyer's arrow-shaped hull, making it effective at both broadsides and attacking enemies directly in front of it, but the ship also mounts a central ridge of large cannons, which would have decent firing arcs. When talking about weak points, obviously the rear of the vessel is exposed, especially given its very wide design, but as a carrier, it would most likely be placed away from the vanguard anyway. Of course, the large, overexposed bridge would be another pretty obvious target. Fractal Sponge has indicated that he intended the Secutor to be geared towards both carrying and speed, which is an interesting combination. Despite its size, the Secutor would struggle against a standard ISD in a straight-up slugfest, and its shields and weapons are significantly less powerful pound per pound. It was, however, agile, so a good strategy when fighting large ships with the Secutor would be to launch fighters and stay out of range from enemy weapons. Despite its size, the speed means it could probably serve effectively as either a pursuit or intercept vessel, especially given the fact that it is self-supporting with its own fighter complement. The first Secutor was retconned into part of Palpatine's deep core fleets in Dark Empire. A fan design was created by Fractal Sponge, which, like the Bellator and others, was canonized in the Essential Guide to Warfare. The Secutor as a class also exists in the new canon, though we don't know whether it's the same iteration as Legends. One Secutor, the Conquest, operated as a flagship in the novel Tarkin, so we know it's at least most likely a large Star Destroyer. Anyway, that is all for the Secutor. Let me know what you guys thought of this video. If you enjoyed the little animations I've included, there's a link down to the artist in the description. Now, it is more expensive for me to make these kind of videos because I pay to get those animations done, so if you enjoy them, consider sharing this video on social media with a friend, or just giving it a like and subscribing. You can also support the channel on Patreon or by going to audibletrial.com/EckhartsLadder. Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, may the Force be with you.